Shalom. I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha, Rocha, Kodash, Ma'amath. I want to give double honors to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders, as well as an honors to their bishops. I also want to give a double honors to my elder apostle, Harawan Ban Yasharala of the Lions Den Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida, as well as an honors to the Bishop Kanak, my Bishop Kanak, son Ban Yasharala of the Lions Den Camp here in Jacksonville as well. Shalom to the sincere Akim, pushing his truth and sincerity around the four corners of this earth. I'm Nakar Harab, Aban Yasharala, coming out of the Lions Den Camp of Yasharala here in Jacksonville, Florida. Now today I'll be coming out a lesson that is on this article. I don't have much of a title for it, but it says Naftali Bennett warns Israel-U.S. ties are weakening, urges overhaul of public diplomacy. And that's the truth. With what's going on with over there in the East and we'll say habitual line stepping by Israel, and it is what it is, going too far all the time, stepping across lines all the time. It has definitely put a strain on the alliance between the U.S. and Israel. It has definitely put a strain on it, and depending on how the Lord wanted to go, it could break or whatever. It could whatever. But nonetheless, this is also happening to Babylon with other allied countries as well, and other nations around the four corners of the earth. The ties or the agreements, they are weakening. They are no longer for lack of a better term, holding their end of the bargain up. These other nations are now looking to decouple from the problem, and they know who and what the problem is. So without further ado, this is not a long article, but I'm going to read it and then get some scriptures. It says a nation cannot base its long-term strategy, as it says here, on a president who currently supports Israel, Bennett said during a conversation with Jennifer Sutton. I guess he was being interviewed. It says former Prime Minister Naftali Bennett warned Tuesday that Israel's relationship with the United States has entered a precarious period, and that's true, saying Jerusalem must rebuild its image in America and stop assuming that support from President Trump alone can secure the alliance. That's true, but let's continue. It says, speaking at the JNS International Policy Summit in Jerusalem, Bennett said Israel's public standing in the U.S. has deteriorated sharply, which of course it is, because you got a lot of Americans, what I'm saying, that's that came out. It was all on TikTok, it was on Facebook, it was on social media, and they was talking very negatively about little Satan and about the war and everything. But let's continue. It says arguing that brand Israel is now viewed negatively by many Americans for the first time since the state's founding, and that's true. That is very true. I'm gonna call him little Satan has entered or are being looked at or is being looked at in a negative light by the Babylonians here, or the Babylonian Americans here. But let's continue. This is that's a disaster, Bennett said, adding that the trend totally distorts good and bad, right and wrong, but must be treated as a strategic reality. This is Bennett, who heads the Together list and is seeking to challenge Prime Minister in the upcoming election. Trump said remained a strong supporter of Israel. He cautioned, however, that the Israeli policy could not rest on the personal sympathy of a single president. It says a nation cannot base it. We already read that already. And it says Israel has neglected public diplomacy. I don't know what the flying flip phone going on right now. For too long, Bennett told the audience. His comments came amid growing Israeli concern over the direction of U.S. policy in the region, including Washington's handling of Iran, Lebanon, and Hezbollah, and the wider shift in American in the American public, Salakia, towards Israel since October 7th Hamas attacks and the wars that followed because they were unjustified. Let's continue. Bennett blamed part of the damage on the conduct of the current government, saying Israel needed ministers who understood the importance of responsible messaging abroad. He called for the creation of a serious national public diplomacy system that could push back against anti-Israel narratives in the U.S. and elsewhere. But you don't hear about these. Anyway, let's continue. They always have to make sure that everybody else is with the tomfoolery. But nonetheless, this is just, it says Israel, he said, has failed to treat public diplomacy as a strategic arena, where the country, Salakia, public relations firm, Bennett added, he would not hire it. Okay. This is the former premier also pointed to Qatar, Salakia, as an example of a country that had invested heavily in influence operations and international messaging, saying Israel should learn from that model and use it for a positive purpose, and they're not going to do that. The devil cannot do right, won't do right. Bennett said rising anti-Semitism, that's the word they made up, around the world reached levels he had not expected to see, warning that hostility to Israel was feeding broader threats to Jewish communities. No, it's not. It's we're watching the downfall of a wicked demonic system. So, of course, when that is challenged, anybody that is wicked and evil and demonic, they're going to look at it as an attack. But it's really the Lord destructuring or destroying this devil's power in the earth. It says, to repair the situation, he said, Israel needed a big, broad Zionist bipartisan government, adding that he hoped to lead. Well, I guess he wanted to lead a bipartisan. But let's see. It says, no more terror empires along Israel. Boy, there's no such thing. The only terror is Israel over there in the east, and it is what it is. This is not anti-Semitic. This is the truth. How many countries just hauled off and just attacked Israel unprovoked, just unprovoked whatsoever? Like Israel, they were just doing what they was doing, minding their business. Somebody was like, attack. That has not happened. It's actually been the other way around. But let's continue. It says Bennett also addressed Israel's security doctrine after October 7th, saying the country could no longer allow large terrorist organizations to build military infrastructures on its border. And it says here, but let's see. Yeah, it's just a. But anyways, it's just another ploy to keep Babylon alive. That's all it is. And what does the Lord say? Jeremiah 51. I'm going to start at verse 7. It says, Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord Yahweh's hand, that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore the nations are mad. So these other nations have drunken of the cup that the Lord was using. See, the Lord took Babylon, America, and it was a golden pimp cup. And guess what? All these nations drunk from that cup, meaning all these nations have done business with this place. And so much so that they became drunken off the philosophies, the doctrines, the ways of life, celebrations, and all that stuff. They became drunken, and then were driven mad, meaning they became foolish for following this whore that sits upon the scarlet covered beast. They became foolish. But now we'll say the intoxication is wearing off. And vision is starting to clear up, and they starting to see. These other nations, of course, are starting to see that. Oh, wait a minute, I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to do this. I can't. I got to decouple. I got to move away from that. So the Lord has used Babylon as a golden pimp cup. Got all the earth drunk. I mean, these other nations became mad, and they lost their ever-loving mind. Proverbially, of course. Meaning doing business with Babylon. Verse 8, it says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so, she may be healed. So this place is going to be suddenly destroyed at some point. It's going to just suddenly fall. And it says, take balm. If it would have been possible, some kind of healing factor or contingency plan. If it were possible, this place would have been healed. They've tried it and it has not been healed. Because this is the end. This is the end of a global, wicked, demonic rulership. This is the end. It's over. Once the Lord sweep this place with the besom of destruction, there will be no more, and it is what it is. There will be no more Edomite rulership nowhere on earth. It's done. It's over. Once Babylon goes down, done. Ain't no coming back like the phoenix. The phoenix is a fictitious bird. It's a mythology. It's not a real thing. You know, this devil loves to stake himself on mythologies, and if you look up the word myth, it pretty much just means a story. You know, and if you keep searching, it'll eventually tell you a lie. It'll tell you that mythology ain't nothing but a lie. It's not true. But let's continue. I don't want this devil to stop my screen recording for telling too much truth. But this place, if it would have been healed, it would have been healed already, but it's not. Verse 9, woe, we would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, let us go everyone into his own country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the sky. So if it were possible, this place would have been healed, but it's not healed. So guess what? These other nations are going to forsake this place, meaning they're going to decouple, they're going to cut ties, they're going to back away from this place. And it says, and go everyone into his own country, meaning these other nations are going to get to themselves. They're going to start dealing within themselves, or dealing within themselves and then other nations. But Babylon is going to be excluded. Why? Because the judgments of this place has reached unto the heavens. It is lifted up unto the sky. So the Lord, you know, saying, I know you can't see my hand, but the Lord didn't had it up to here. You know, as the saying goes, when somebody, I done had it up to here, and they put their hand either right at their face or over their head. Well, that's what the Lord, he didn't had it up to here, because it's over. The judgments have reached unto the heavens, meaning the wickedness done stacked up so high that it's like, okay, the Lord go like, okay, nah, yeah, I got to do something to you now, and the Lord gonna do it. He ain't finna play no games, but let's continue. Let's go to Isaiah 14. This is Isaiah 14, chapter 14, verse 4, Salakia. It says, thou, wait a minute, hold on. I don't know why it says that thou, but anyways, let's see. And it shall come to pass that in the day, anyways, it says that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. So that's gonna be a proverb that's gonna be taken up against this place. A question: how has the king of Babylon, or against the king of Babylon right now? The king of Babylon is Nero, 47, aka Trump. But at some point it's gonna be like, well, how has the oppressor ceased? How has this great city come to nothing? And it's gonna come to nothing through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. It's gonna get to that point where people are gonna ask questions. Like, hey, what happened? What's going on? Verse 5, it says, the Lord Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the ruler. So the Lord has broken the staff of the wicked, meaning taking the power. That's why you don't see Babylon with the same power no more that it once had in the 90s, in the early 2000s. I mean, like early 2000, not 2008, no, before that. It don't have the same power no more. The Lord has broken the staff of the wicked, meaning killed the power, and the scepter of the rulers. The Lord is confusing the leadership here. That's why they can't never ever make a decision. That's why they can't get nothing together. Just sliding and stumbling and falling all over the place like a drunkard. Proverbially, of course. Verse 6, it says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindered. So it's going to get to a point that he who smote the people in wrath, Esau, with a continual stroke, this devil stays on people's head. He stayed on people, vexing people. What? Psalms chapter 10. His ways are always grievous. So guess what? When it comes down to it, when this devil is persecuted, or when Babylon is persecuted, guess what? None is going to hinder, meaning no one is going to step in and stop it. As a matter of fact, they're going to help make this place fall. They're going to push it over. It's like somebody be tripping and they be trying to catch all the stuff. You just whatever they trying to grab on, you snatch that out the way so they can't grab onto it, so they can just go on and fall down. Well, that's what these other nations are going to do to this place. As you know, people like to stop themselves from falling, you know. But let's continue. I'm gonna jump down to let's see. Verse 10, this is all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become as weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? So it's going to get to a point where these other nations are going to be like, hey, you done became weak like us, huh? You ain't as strong as you used to be. You ain't got that same power you got, huh? How did you become so weak? How did you become so desolate and decrepit? How? Through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. You can read Obadiah. Start from verse 1. This devil has lifted himself up even unto the sky. The Lord gonna bring him down. This devil done had everything and got everything he wanted to do. And the Lord said, okay, time up. You know, like my dad used to say, like when we was little, he was drinking something. Ooh, daddy, can I have something? He let you have whatever he drinking. And then after you done had something, okay, break. That's it. You don't get no more. Well, that's what the Lord doing to Esau. Break. It's over. You ain't no more. You ain't get no more. Sit down in the dust. As it says in the scriptures. I should go and get it. But let's continue. Verse 12. And this is an impromptu, by the way. I ain't got nothing planned. It says, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nation? So how is that happening? How has that happened? How is this devil fallen from his power? How is he lost his power? How is he cut down to the earth that weakened the nations? Through the power and spirit of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. That's how. Let's see. Let me see something. Isaiah 33 and 1. It says, woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled. So woe, we know what woe means. What happened? Babylon spoiled when it wasn't spoiled. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela didn't do nothing to Babylon America. What did Babylon America do? Spoil Venezuela when it wasn't spoiled. And dealt treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. So this place is dealt treacherously. The government, the power structure of this place has dealt treacherously with those who have not dealt treacherously with it. This country has dogged out many other countries, and these other countries were allies and did not come and dog out Babylon America. It says, when thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. When thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. So when this place ceased to spoil, stop stealing, when it stop dealing treacherously, that's when these other nations are going to spoil this place and deal treacherously with this place. When they say peace and safety, then shall sudden destruction come. Quoting some scriptures. But that's how it's gonna be. This devil has been spoiling when he wasn't spoiling, being treacherous when nobody was being treacherous to him. So guess what? Now when he stops and he ceases, guess what? These other nations are gonna do the exact same thing. These other nations is watching and they waiting. But yeah, let me see. Let me go here real quick. Yep, right to Obadiah. Let's see. Obadiah. Verse 1. It says, the vision of Obadiah. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh power, concerning Edom, we have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh. And what is that rumor? It's the truth. It's the truth. But what is that rumor? Judgment, downfall, being weakened, losing power. It says, we have heard a rumor from the Lord Yahweh, and an ambassador, a messenger, is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, let us rise up against her in battle. So that's what's going to happen. At some point, these other nations are going to rise up with Russia and come up with this place in battle. And that's all because the Lord has weakened this place, made this place desolate and weak. Verse 2, it says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, and thou art greatly despised. So this devil is despised. He's small among the heathen. And the fact that his power structure is also hated and despised. And again, small among the heathen. This devil is the least of all the heathens on earth. He's the least. So it's like you got the last heathen and then Esau behind that. The basest of men. Meaning the lowest of men. Why you think they do what they do? It says, the pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, whose habitation is high, that saith in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? So the pride of this devil's heart has deceived him. Oh, I can't be touched. I'm this, I'm that, you know. Can't touch this like MC Hammer. Well, no, the Lord was like, nah, that ain't gonna work. Because the devil think he can't be, he really think, who gonna bring me down? Well, this is what the Lord says. Verse 4, it says, though thou shalt exalt thyself as the eagle, and though thou set thy nest among the stars, thence will I bring thee down, saith the Lord Yahweh. So there you go. This devil has space stations, satellites, he got his whirly birds, helicopters, he got airplanes, he got jets. Did I say satellites? Well, I'm going to say it again. This devil done exalted himself above the stars. He has set his nest up high. He's gotten very strong, very powerful, so much so that he trying to be like the Most High. He want to see what everybody doing and want to know what everybody doing. That kind of power is not made for man. That's why it's going to destroy him. The Lord going to bring this devil down no matter how high this devil think he's going to get. The Lord going to smack and knock him down because it's the Lord that raised this devil up. So yeah, and with that, shalom.